Hello friends, I am Dr. Kaustubh from UPSC Guide. We are launching a batch which is specially designed for UPSC Prelims and Mains 2026. This is a batch which is completely in English medium. Let me tell you something about myself. I'm an MBBS doctor. I'm a practicing doctor from GMCH Nagpur. I have been coaching UPSC aspirants for last 12 or more years. Through this journey, I have mentored hundreds of IAS officers, IPS officers, and officers in other services. Friends, this is an orientation session for geography. So, geography orientation for UPSC Civil Services examination. Let us begin the journey. Friends, when we talk about UPSC geography, there are a lot of questions in your mind. The biggest problem that aspirants face is there is no one source, one authentic source, which will cover geography, the complete syllabus for GS, from cover to cover in one book. This is true. But the point is, you have to take a bit more efforts. If you take some efforts, the rewards that you get are disproportionately high. You have to study from a number of sources. Integrate this information intelligently. And that is what we do for you. When you attend these sessions, you will get all this integrated information at one source. So friends, when you prepare for UPSC Civil Services examination and you want to prepare geography, a subject, a vast subject like geography, there is no one book which will cover it completely. So what are the sources? First, NCERTs from class 9 to 12. Some of you may ask me that should we read it from 6th standard? Yes, you may. But even if you read geography NCERTs from 9th standard to 12th standard, that would suffice. That would be sufficient. Second is G.C. Leong. You must have heard about the book Certificate Physical and Human Geography. This is Oxford publication book which is available in the market. This G.C. Leong is one of the most authentic sources, especially for physical geography. It also has Human and Economic Geography as part 2, which is given in the same book, which is again very useful for your preparation. So G.C. Leong is another second source which is very crucial. Third is Atlas. You must have used it before in your school life. If not, yes, most of the aspirants use Atlas for the first time when they are preparing for UPSC. Atlas, you can use separate Atlas for world geography and India geography. You can use one Atlas also for both. But if you use separately, it will give an edge to your preparation. The world geography mapping is given better in Orient Longman or Black Swan Atlas, Orient Atlases. And for India, Oxford is preferable. Next is current affairs and internet. Geography questions. We are going to see a few samples now. But geography questions, if you look at them, these questions are more and more being drawn or are triggered by what is happening in current events, current affairs, what is happening around you. So volcanic eruptions, there is a war somewhere, there is a crisis of water somewhere. So the current events are triggering or giving triggers for questions that appear in prelims as well as mains. So this current affairs and internet, they have to be used judiciously to draw syllabus which is relevant to your geography syllabus. Right? Next, reference books. They can be used only for selective reading. For example, if you want to go a bit deeper into environment, you can use Savindra Singh's environment geography. If you want to go a bit more detail into physical geography, you can again use Savindra Singh's book. If you want to go in detail in Indian geography, you can use books by either Majid Hussain or there is book by, D.R. Kullar. So these are all big reference books. These reference books are not supposed to be read completely for geography GS preparation. They are books more preferred by those who are preparing for geography as an option. But if you're interested to go a bit deeper into the syllabus, to understand the concepts holistically, yes, references do add value to your preparation. But friends, let me tell you, this is what you get when you attend sessions which are taken here. We have gone through all these resources, have collected them and brought those for you. So while you attend these sessions, you will get content which will come not only from NCERT or GC Leong or Atlas or the books that I mentioned. So it's everything together, synthesized, integrated as per the requirement of the examination, especially for you. Next is economic survey and Yojana or Kurukshetra. So for your preparation, every year the government of India comes out with this economic survey just before budget. This economic survey gives you statistics, data, and a lot of information which pertains to your geography syllabus in some part, especially the economic geography part of it, right? Which is very significant for your preparation. Apart from economic survey, there are magazines like Yojana or Kurukshetra, or there is other magazine like Down to Earth. So there's no limit to it. Today you have resources at the tip of your finger, at your fingertips. So you can simply scroll on your mobile and get the resource that you want. So when you need to prepare in detail about a particular topic, you can use internet, you can use a particular magazine to get more and more information about it. But then that is again an advantage of attending these sessions where this work, this drudgery is done by us so that you prepare comfortably and you get the inputs that you deserve to get. So this is the static and dynamic sources that can be used for preparation of geography, civil services, GS syllabus. Next, what are the trends? Because when you're preparing for geography, the question that comes to your mind is, how much you need to prepare. How many questions appear in the examination, especially prelims or main examination from geography portion. What is the weightage of these questions in the examination? Before answering this question, I will tell you something which is very interesting. What I've observed in my journey and throughout the phase when I have been mentoring people teaching geography, aspirants can be divided into two groups. One group of aspirants, less number of them, who love geography. They enjoy preparing for geography. They enjoy this hard work that you have to put in, referring multiple sources and getting everything together. But there are many aspirants, that is the second group, who fear geography, right? Who find it taxing to prepare geography, who find that there is a lot of information, it's all scattered, right? Things, places to remember, details to remember, climate, soil, and so on, right? Mountains, mountain peaks, rivers, valleys, tributaries, and then they develop a fear for geography. And this hampers their preparation. Why? I'll tell you an interesting point that when you prepare for UPSC CSE, the weightage of geography cannot be just measured by the number of questions that appear from geography in prelims or mains. That is one aspect. But the point is, beyond that, think about current affairs. What is happening important? Trump is talking, for example, the US President, Donald Trump, is talking about tariff wars, right? Reciprocal tariffs. China is working on electric vehicles. China has problem with Taiwan. India has issues with China along the border. There is war between Russia and Ukraine that is going on. There is a war which is going on between Israel and the Palestinian territories. All these aspects, all these current events are rooted in geography. There is a location, there is a region, there is some river, there is some ocean, right? There is some sea route. There is a talk about global warming, climate change. This is a very important issue. So everything that you see in current affairs, most of it are rooted in geography. There is a region, there is an area, there is a place, there is a location, there is a boundary. That is why when you prepare geography well, it helps you to solve effectively not only the questions from geography which appear in prelims and mains. Beyond that, it also gives you a very solid command over your current affairs. That helps you in your polity, that helps you in internal security, disaster management, international relations, and so on. So the preparation of geography helps you solve not only geography questions, but also other questions in your entire syllabus of UPSC Civil Services examination. That is why, friends, do not neglect this part and If you attend the sessions, definitely you will get that edge, extra edge that is required for your success. So coming back, what are the trends in the preparation of geography? Significance of geography from vis-a-vis the UPSC Civil Services examination. Weightage in prelims keeps fluctuating. Now, if you observe year-on-year basis, the questions that appear in prelims from geography proper, they keep fluctuating. Out of the total questions that are in prelims, GS questions, sometimes you get 12 questions, sometimes 15 questions, sometimes 8, but the range remains near or less constant. And I would tell you, do not fall for this pattern or weightage ka discussion. The point is, you can never predict how many questions, say for example for 2026, you can never predict accurately how many questions are going to come from geography, what portion. That is why this discussion about weightage and the number of questions that are coming, I think it is fruitless. It will not give you any rewards. Rather, you focus on the subject. You need to study geography. You know that. You know that this subject is going to give you returns which are disproportionate to the effort that you put in. So, rather than counting the weightage or the number of questions which have appeared, start your preparation now. Next, significant weightage in main examination. Out of 250 marks, GS1, 100 marks are for geography. Nearly 100 marks. You get dedicated questions from geography. But it is only for GS paper 1. If you go to international relations, if you go to internal security, if you go to disaster management, all these areas, or even welfare schemes, poverty, and so on, right? Governance related issues, you get questions which are influenced or which are largely rooted into geography. So geography and a solid foundation of geography will help you attempt these descriptive questions not only in GS1 geography part, but also paper 2, paper 3, and yes, in your essay paper also. Next, mapping has gained importance. If you look at questions, especially the prelims ones, you will see the questions from mapping, world mapping and India mapping. A significant number of questions are coming from mapping. How do you prepare for that? As we have seen in the last slide, you have to use Atlas. Atlas has to be on your table always. Not only when you are studying geography, but also when you are reading your newspaper or any other syllabus that you are studying. Because, as I said, everything has got a location or region, most of the things. So keep your Atlas handy. Keep referring to your Atlas again and again, especially while studying current affairs. So mapping has gained significance. Less scope for guesswork, hard work pays. What has happened is the kind of options that are being given in UPSC examination, lengthy questions, twisted questions, application-based questions, and then the multiple options. You have to select 2 or 3 which are correct, right? So all this changes that have come in the question paper, they require you to study in detail. It's not easy to just guess and get it right. There's negative marking. So it's always better to do the hard work and then be effective or successful in solving the paper. Highlight the association and overlap, right? Association and overlap with other topics. So as I said earlier, that when you study geography, your environment portion becomes very strong. Your agriculture related questions become very strong. Your current affairs related questions become very strong. Even in mains, I've already highlighted about internal security, disaster management. There are governance related, welfare related schemes and so on. So geography allows you to prepare very comprehensively for civil services. Subject not to be procrastinated or taken lightly. So as I mentioned earlier, that there are people who fear geography, right? These people keep procrastinating, pushing the preparation ahead, far away in future. They say that I'll study geography later. First, let me study polity. First, let me study social. This is society or history. They keep postponing the study of geography. But I'm telling you, if you study geography early, you will understand current affairs better. You will understand geography better. You will be able to do more revisions for geography. So geography has to be studied as early as possible during your preparation for UPSC foundation, right? And this knowledge of geography has to be used whenever you are reading current affairs or reading other syllabus which pertains to your preparation of prelims or mains. Clear? Next. So what are the topics? What is the coverage for geography? In general, when we talk about GS, I can divide geography into two major parts. The first part is physical and human geography. This is the technical geography as a subject, the core content of geography. So you have physical geography and human geography. What is physical geography? Physical geography involves the study of geomorphology. This means landforms. Landforms and their formation, the factors that affect these landforms. So we are studying about rivers, glaciers, we are studying about wind, we are studying about the landforms which are formed like mountains, what is responsible for formation of the mountains and what are the factors which are eroding these mountains. So these are the kind of things that you study in physical geography. First, geomorphology. Second is climate. So geomorphology, this physical geography also includes the study of climate. In climate, you study the atmosphere, you study the different layers, you study what events happen there, the atmospheric pressure, temperature, formation of cyclones, rainfall, precipitation, cloudiness, divs, all this, right? So application, static and dynamic, applied, core and applied, all this is studied in physical geography. Again, climate. The third part in physical geography is oceans. You study different oceans, you study various other phenomena or aspects related to oceans. For example, the depths of different oceans, the landforms which are found on the ocean bottom, the formation of those landforms. You also study the characteristics of ocean water like salinity, temperature. You study ocean currents. You study the phenomena which are associated with these oceans, like coral reefs and so on, right? So oceans is again one part of physical geography, and apart from that, you study soils. So in India or outside also, every region has got its own soil. So we have known terms like alluvial soil, black soil, red soil, yellow soil, laterite soil, forest soil, mountain soil. So these are different types of soils that you study. This is very important for your prelims and mains. So this is physical geography, right? What is human geography? Human geography is where this is all about man and environment relationship. So it is how geography affects the choices of man, and it is how human actions affect geography or nature. So I'll give you a few examples. Agriculture, this is classic, right? Agriculture, what kind of crops are grown is dependent on geography. It is dependent on soil, it is dependent on topography, it is dependent on climate, right? So all this determine what crops you will plant. But then the different agricultural practices also have an impact on the climate. So it's man-environment relationship. You are going to study about economic activities. You are studying resource distribution. You are going to study the utilization of these resources. You are going to study industrialization. You are going to study the economic activities like agriculture. You are going to study other activities like fisheries and so on. Right? This is all economic geography, which is part of your human geography, man-environment relationship. Right? Apart from that, this is physical and human geography. This is the first part. This is studied first before proceeding to India. Now, what happens is the very common mistake that many aspirants make is they start reading NCRTs. While reading NCRTs, they read Indian geography because it is easy to understand. They can relate to the places. They know a few things, so they find it comfortable reading Indian geography first. But friends, do not make this mistake, because the point is, when you prepare for UPSC Civil Services examination, it makes sense to first focus on geography, which is physical and human geography, the basic core concept and their understanding. And then once you've understood what is geography, physical and human, you apply it to India. So Indian geography should come later, right? So this is more conceptual than factual, and then this is to be studied first before proceeding to India. And this is more conceptual. This is basic core concepts of geography, right? Just as sea floor spreading. You look at prelims or mains, sea floor spreading, the formation of the earth, the interior of the earth, seismicity, tectonics, plate tectonics, all this is part of your conceptual framework of geography. Next, you have to study NCRTs, GC Leong, which can be read together, right? Along with the discussion that we have in the class. Part 2 of GC Leong is also necessary to understand economic geography and even world geography. This part 2 of GC Leong helps you understand world geography very nicely. And then role and significance of atlas in preparation. So because we are talking about geography in general, it helps us understand the geography of the world, right? And that for that you need atlas. So this is part 1 of your syllabus coverage. The second part is India specifically. Indian geography, there are specifically devoted NCRTs for that. So NCRTs are necessary but not sufficient, right? NCRTs are necessary but not sufficient, because NCRTs will give you a basic understanding, but that is not sufficient for you to get very good marks or to write very effective answers, right? Oxford Atlas is must to refer. It's very nicely given. Indian geography is given in that atlas. Role of current affairs and magazines, because we are talking about Indian geography, whatever is happening around you, every day the newspapers that you're reading, mining, which is occurring somewhere, some species, which are, just say cheetah has been introduced in a protected area in India. So all this is significant, right? Current affairs. Reference book may be used, but be selective. Again, you can use reference books for Indian geography, but very selectively regarding very particular issues which are being highlighted in current affairs. You can go a bit deeper to find more details on it. And every keyword mentioned in NCRT is a guide. So when you study your NCRTs or reference texts, whatever keywords that you get, even from current affairs, any keyword that is regarding geography, which has relation with geography, you pick that up, note it down, right? Search on internet, use internet judiciously, search on it and get the information required. So this way you will prepare for geography covering part 1 as well as part 2. Next. So now what we do is just to understand how to go about our preparation. First, we need to understand what kind of questions are asked by UPSC. So once we discuss a few PYQs from prelims as well as mains, we will understand the kind of questions that are being framed, and then from this we can understand how we should go about our preparation. So to help you understand this, I have picked up a few sample questions from previous years from your prelims as well as mains, right? So first, let us discuss a few questions from prelims. On 21st June, the sun. Now this is very, very basic question, right? Physical geography. On 21st June, the sun, and then 4 options are given. What are these options? Does not set below the horizon at Arctic Circle. Does not set below the horizon at Antarctic Circle. Shines vertically overhead at noon on the equator, and then shines vertically overhead at the Tropic of Capricorn. This is a basic concept. The concept is solstice and equinox. When we talk about 21st June, all of you are aware 21st June is international. We have declared it as International Yoga Day, right? This 21st June, we know it's the longest day in the northern hemisphere. This is the time when the sun is exactly overhead, Tropic of Cancer, which passes through the center of India nearly, right? The line which goes from west to east. So this 21st June, this is called summer solstice in northern hemisphere. Summer solstice. So the basic concept is summer solstice. Now on this day, sun does not set below the horizon at Arctic Circle. This is true. Sun does not go below the horizon. At the North Pole, for 4 to 6 months, the sun remains very close to the horizon. There is no night. Day and night are not distinct from each other. This is a very basic concept. As you go towards north, the length of the day goes on increasing. So this is the concept that is asked in this question. The other 3 options are wrong, because this is Antarctic. No. In summer solstice, 21st June, sun is in the northern hemisphere. That is why it's not Antarctic. Vertically overhead on equator, this is equinox. That is why this is a different concept. Shines vertically overhead, Tropic of Capricorn. Again, this is winter solstice. Not on 21st June, it would be 22nd December. So the answer here is A. So basic concept. Next, let us look at another question. Why are dewdrops not formed on a cloudy night? So this is again a very conceptual understanding is required, that during a cloudy night, why you don't get dew? No, the basic principle is greenhouse effect. The atmosphere is heated less by the short wave electromagnetic radiation which is coming from the sun. I repeat again, the atmosphere of the earth, it is heated less by the short wave electromagnetic radiation which is coming from the sun. Rather, the greater contribution in this heating of atmosphere, greater contribution is of the long wave terrestrial radiation which is released by the earth. So 24 into 7 into 365, every moment earth is giving out heat, the heat which it has absorbed from the sun. Earth is giving out this heat. This is in the form of long wave terrestrial radiation. So the earth's atmosphere, especially the clouds also, they are not completely transparent. So they absorb this long wave terrestrial radiation and they re-radiate it back to the earth. This is called the greenhouse effect. Now, if there is cloud, there will be warmth in the atmosphere. The terrestrial radiation will be absorbed as well as reflected back to the earth. So the temperature will rise. If the temperature rises, we have studied in school during our science lectures that if the temperature rises, the ability of air to hold moisture also increases. So the moisture in the air does not condense. If the moisture in the air does not condense, there will be no formation of dew or frost, right? The temperature will always remain high. So clouds absorb the radiation released from the earth's surface. Maybe clouds reflect back the earth's radiation. This is the most suitable answer, that clouds reflect back the earth's radiation. The earth's surface would have low temperature. No, this is wrong. And clouds deflect the blowing wind to ground level. This is also completely wrong. So the answer, 1 and 2 are nearly close, but the correct, most appropriate answer is 2. Clouds reflect back the earth's radiation. That is the reason why the temperature rises and there is no condensation. So there is no formation of dewdrops. Clear? So again, this is like, mixing of geography as well as some science, right? Next, another question let us see from prelims. Among the following cities, which one lies on longitude closest to that of Delhi? So again, this question seems so easy to read. Among the following cities, which one lies on a longitude closest to that of Delhi? Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Nagpur or Pune? But this is why I took this question for this discussion. I chose this question for this discussion because that tells us how important it is for us to prepare mapping, use atlas. Otherwise, answering this question is not that easy, right? Think about it. Longitude of Delhi, if you draw a straight line from Delhi, what lies closest to that line? Is it Bengaluru? Is it Hyderabad, Nagpur or Pune? Now, I understand those who know geography a bit know that Pune is very close to Mumbai. So, Pune is out of the race. But we have Bengaluru, Hyderabad and Nagpur. It is not easy to decide which of these three will be in line with Delhi. Now, of course, the answer is Bengaluru, right? Answer is Bengaluru, but that requires some sort of orientation with respect to map, locations and map. So this you cannot do in the examination hall. You can be confident while marking such tricky questions in the examination hall only and only if you have taken your time while you prepare. You've worked with the atlas extensively throughout your preparation. Then only you can be confident while taking these questions in the examination hall. Next, let us take a look at this applied question that you have. So I've chosen different types of questions on different topics. With reference to agricultural soil, consider the following statements. Agricultural soils, consider the following statements. A high content of organic matter in soil drastically reduces its water holding capacity. Again, very basic question, right? A high content of organic matter in soil, that is humus, that is what we call as organic matter. High content of organic matter in soil drastically reduces its water holding capacity. True or false? See, if there is high content of humus, does water holding capacity go down? No. It is for this reason that farmers add humus to the soil. Presence of humus allows the soil to retain moisture, right? So this is wrong. Soil does not play any role in the sulfur cycle. Again, this is biogeochemical cycles. So the contribution of soil to biogeochemical cycles, that is being discussed. So soil does not play any role in sulfur cycle doesn't seem very convincing, because sulfur cycle has soil as one step. Irrigation over a period of time can contribute to salinization of some agricultural land. Absolutely, this is current affairs triggered point. Irrigation, excessive irrigation over a period of time can contribute. Excessive ये word उन्होंने use नहीं किया है. They have not used the word excessive, but irrigation over a period of time can contribute to salinization. It is absolutely true. If you go to Punjab, Haryana, western portion of Uttar Pradesh, northern portion of Rajasthan, where there is a lot of canals and this wheat and rice that is being cultivated, this is the area which suffers majorly from salinization and alkalinization of soil. The soil, which is very fertile, is becoming barren slowly and steadily because of irrigation over a long period of time. So this point is absolutely correct. Clear? So which of the above statements given are true? So there are options given. I have already said. First, no, this is wrong. Second, wrong. Third is correct. Clear? So 3 only. B is the answer. So here, let us look at another question which directly relates Indian geography with current affairs. So this was a question. Consider the following statements. Barren Island volcano is an active volcano located in Indian territory. There are a lot of volcanoes throughout the world. Every day, there are more than 300 volcanic eruptions that are occurring across the globe. Small, minor, some large ones, right? But then all of them we don't note. But yes, we are expected to know the volcanoes which are in India. And for that matter, India has only one active volcano, Barren. Barren Island volcano is an active volcano located in Indian territory. Yes, true. Second, Barren Island lies about 140 kilometers east of Great Nicobar. Again, orientation, mapping. Barren Island, it is in Andaman Nicobar group, but it is not a part of Nicobar, right? It's Andaman. It is to the east of Andaman, not Nicobar, Great Nicobar, right? So second statement is wrong. Third, last time Barren Island volcano erupted was in 1991, right? And it has remained inactive since then. This is wrong. Again, current affairs. This Barren Island volcano, this erupted a number of times after that, right? As recent as I think 2015 or around that period also. So the third statement is also wrong. First is correct, second and third are wrong. Only one only is the answer. So this clearly tells us why current affairs is important, why mapping is important, right? Next. So let us take a look at questions from main examination. From prelims, I had sampled a few questions just to get a brief understanding and the quality of discussions that we are going to have in this batch. So now let us shift our focus for some time on main examination and discuss the questions from the latest paper, main examination 2024, GS paper, GS1. I've chosen the geography questions. Just look at these questions. What is sea surface temperature rise? Right? The first point itself, sea surface temperature rise. This is being discussed across the globe. The Conference of Parties, Paris Agreement, uske pehle Kyoto Agreement, right? All this people coming together and talking about global warming, climate change, the increased frequency and intensity of cyclones, the rise in sea surface temperature, the rise in sea level, the inundation of Pacific islands or small islands in Pacific. All this are the triggers for this question. So this question appears in 2024 mains, GS paper 1. The question is triggered by current affairs. What is sea surface temperature rise? How does it affect the formation of tropical cyclones? So there is a relation between these two things. First, they're asking you, what is the sea surface temperature rise? And then the impact of this rise on cyclones, formation of tropical cyclones. Now, the conceptual part, I'll tell you. I'm not going to discuss all these answers in detail. We are not supposed to, right? I'm very sure that we are going to see each other a lot when we start this batch, right? The new batch that is coming up in complete English for 2026 foundation. So we are going to study together for the entire duration of your preparation. But the point is, today it's just introduction. So when we talk about sea surface temperature, this sea surface temperature is rising because of global warming and climate change. Now, when the sea surface temperature rises, what does it do to the formation of cyclones, especially tropical cyclones? These tropical cyclones, if you study your geography proper, right, you will understand that tropical cyclones, the formation of tropical cyclones is driven by temperature. Temperature is one major factor, sea surface temperature, and tropical cyclones require high sea surface temperature to the extent of nearly 27 degrees Celsius. Now, if the sea surface temperature is rising, the intensity and the frequency of cyclones will increase. Because, there are two factors. One, the temperature is high, so low pressure areas are formed, winds rotate and cyclone is formed. And the second, the amount of moisture, because if the sea surface temperature is high, it's going to cause a lot of evaporation. It's going to push a lot of moisture into the atmosphere. And this moisture will add to the cloudiness of this cyclone and its rainfall, its impact, right? So sea surface temperature rise and its impact we have discussed. So this is very, very conceptual question which is triggered by current affairs. Second, what is the phenomenon of cloudburst? Explain. Every year or every alternate year you read in newspaper about some city. Abhi presently while I am talking, right, we see that Bengaluru is flooded. The first rain, pre-monsoon shower, and Bangalore is underwater, right? So what is happening? You see the trend is in the urban areas or certain locations around the Himalayas also, because of intense insolation. Insolation, you understand, incoming solar radiation, intense heating. The temperature rises and it leads to cloudburst, right? This cloudburst is very heavy amount of precipitation in a very short duration. What happened in Mumbai, what happened in Leh, what happened in Kedarnath, what happened in Chennai, right? What happens in Jaipur, what had happened in Jaipur also. So this, phenomenon of cloudburst, we can go in detail and discuss, but I'll just tell you again, this is very much driven by current affairs. In geography mains, look at the questions. They're not asking you questions out of the blue. Kuch bhi, they're picking up anything and are randomly asking you. Yeah, they may do that. They have all right to do that. But generally, if you see, there is a pattern. There is current affairs, there is some important issue, and that issue has a root in geography, which is being picked up and asked to you specifically. So cloudburst, what is cloudburst? So you can, phenomena of cloudburst, right? So you can give all these examples, you can explain the phenomena. I mean, what is cloudburst? What happens during it? What are the factors which contribute to cloudburst, the phenomena of cloudburst? And then what are the impacts and why this needs to be controlled? I mean, we can't control cloudburst, but yes, we can definitely reduce the factors like, the pollution in urban areas, the rise of temperature that is happening, the heat island development in urban areas, the density of the buildings, the cutting down of the forest, the deforestation, right? The way our urban areas are laid out, right? All this, and then definitely the global warming and climate change wala point, right? So we can definitely work on these aspects to ensure that this cloudburst, the frequency and the intensity of cloudburst does not increase in future. Next, what is the concept of demographic winter? Is the world moving towards such a situation? Elaborate. Very recently there was a tweet by even Elon Musk about the declining population across the world, right? Demographic winter is such a situation where, populations start declining throughout the world. The population goes below the replacement level, right? And then the future, I mean, it is projected that if this happens, it will be a bleak future for humanity, right? Bleak future for humanity collectively, because the populations will decline to an unsustainable level, right? This may not happen in a country like India or the continent of Africa in near future, but yes, definitely the trends that you see, the rate of decline of fertility, the rate of decline of population, what is happening in European countries, in Japan, in France, in Russia, right? Many countries, even Korea, right? Korea is having this rapid decline in its population or the rate of growth of population. So concept of demographic winter is the world moving towards. So very, very relevant current affairs based point. This is being discussed across the globe. And that is what UPSC is asking you. So very relevant, drawn from current affairs. Next, groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is on serious decline. How may it affect the food security of India? Right, groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley. Now, understand, what are they asking you? They are asking you that groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley, it is declining, and what impact will it have on the food security of India, right? Now, what is the impact? This Indo-Gangetic plain or the North Indian plain, this is a fertile region which grows most of our wheat, rice, and oilseeds, pulses, right? Apart from that, a few more crops. And the population density of this area is also very high. The exception is Rajasthan, but otherwise, the population density is also very high. The groundwater is declining. Why? Because we have canal irrigation there, but canals don't reach every home, canals don't reach every field. It's a linear structure, right? So majority of the farmers or even houses, they depend on wells and tube wells, right? Now there is a limit to how much water you can pull out without seriously jeopardizing the groundwater potential. Now, if you follow the reports given by Central Water Commission, right, it's an alarming state. The groundwater in the Gangetic Plains, it's an alarming decline. We have been exploiting the groundwater without adequately recharging it. And this is very negatively affected by phenomena of global warming and climate change. So high human density, use of water for agriculture, industry, lot of water is being pumped out, and there's a water economy. Water is also sold as a good. Inadequate steps are taken for its recharge. Because of global warming and climate change, the Himalayan glaciers are on decline. So the flow of water in the rivers is also on decline or fluctuating, especially in the lean season. And all these factors, along with the contamination that you do, right? Contamination and pollution of this water or rivers, all this is contributing to serious decline of groundwater in Gangetic Valley, the potential, and then food security of India will be affected, because then you have to know the numbers, that what crops are grown, what is the population density, right? All these factors. Next, what are aurora australis and aurora borealis? How are these triggered? Very interesting. Again, the northern lights, southern lights, right? It's very basic, simple question. The role that the magnetic field of Earth plays, right? And then the solar energy which is absorbed and then it triggers. It's all science behind it. So read it. And then what is twister? Again, there was a news about twisters. Very specifically, these tornadoes are majority of twisters observed in areas around the Gulf of Mexico. So if you observe throughout the world, you will prominently come across these tornadoes or twisters only around Gulf of Mexico majorly, right? What is the reason? So this is the very, very curious question, right? Which should have sparked your curiosity also. That every time you read about twisters or tornadoes, it is only in US, along the coast of Gulf of Mexico. Why? US does not have an east-west running mountain like Himalayas. So the cold winds, extremely cold winds from the polar area, from Canada, they cross the entire continent and they reach southern part of US. On the other hand, Gulf of Mexico has this tropical maritime climate, warm, moist, unstable. So very distinct and different, plus opposite air masses. You will read about the concept of air mass. They're coming in contact along the Gulf of Mexico. There's a violent interaction resulting into the formation of tornadoes or what we know as twisters, right? That is the reason why twisters are formed there. Clear? So through this mains paper 2024 GS1 Geography, I've tried to explain why basic conceptual understanding of geography along with a very firm grip on current affairs is necessary for you to be effectively able to write in your mains. Right? So through this batch, we are going to prepare you to be able to write effectively such questions in geography. Right? So friends, this is all from my side. I thank you all for listening to me. See you again when we start for 2026. UPSC Guide GS Prelims cum Mains Foundation Batch 2026. Thank you.